My name is Parker Turley, and this is my podcast for intercultural communications on does the United States have a unique, cohesive culture? We were asked to take the viewpoint that is opposite of what we believe. So I'm going to say from the opposite viewpoint of what I actually believe. So this is the opposite viewpoint. The United States does have a unique, cohesive culture where it makes things unique through languages, speaks many different languages, are taught to be spoken, and people embrace the cultures of others and are sensitive to what others believe. And I believe the culture here is, the food is very different from others. You have hamburgers, you have all kinds of different foods that can be eaten here. Obviously, there's Mexican, French. They have all kinds of restaurants that have different foods. And for the quality of the environment, the United States is very unique. They take all the precautions to make sure the environment is safe, and they always do what benefits people and the environment. So using water, reusing bottles, we wish that bottles need to be recycled always. In the U.S., there are many different topics for discussion, like cultures, people coming together and submerging themselves in other cultures. And the U.S. is not basic. They're out of the box, extraordinary in the culture that they've built here in this country. Now, what I actually believe is that the United States has a kind of basic culture that is limited. Yes, there are many different people that live here, and there are many different cultures, but they don't always submerge themselves into other cultures. People do not always accept other cultures or other religions in the United States. People do not always accept people of other cultures, and that's something that we see a lot, like religions. Like you see, people don't always accept Islamic and Muslim people and their religions. People do not always accept their religions like we should. Even if that's not what we believe, we should respect that is their culture and that is their beliefs. And we should respect that they have their culture, and we should submerge ourselves and try to understand where they are coming from in their culture. Because that's something in the U.S. we do not always see people accepting the culture or religious beliefs of Islamic and Muslim views, like the 5 pillars and other religious beliefs that people have. We do not always see where they are coming from. Also, another culture that is not always accepted is you have just Middle East cultures like Pakistan. There's food from there that people should try because they have a really interesting culture, especially after reading about it. Their food is very delicious, and their culture and beliefs and religion. We do not in the U.S. always submerge ourselves or welcome them with open arms, their cultures. We're all members, we're all citizens of the United States, and I believe that learning new cultures is something that could benefit us all, because there are many things that cultures have to offer. The U.S. is very big on sports. probably the biggest on the country's spectrum, like as sports, a celebration of it, because you have tailgating for college football games, NFL games, Major League Baseball, all kinds of stuff. Whereas in Europe, you see a culture that's dominant by soccer, and they come together for soccer, and they're very loud. The U.S. Is not as energetic when it comes to soccer, because soccer, the whole game, they're screaming, they're yelling, and their culture is created by a love and pure love for the passion of the game. Whereas here in the U.S., some people may be cheering for a certain team because of fantasy points or because of a bet they made. It's not always pure passion of the game like it is in other countries like Europe, and Iceland has been a dominant soccer power there. And they've really brought a lot of culture, like you could see it's their pure passion and love for the game. Whereas in America, it's not always the pure passion for watching the sport. There's other motives like money or competitive reasons as to why they want their team to win, instead of just loving their team and having pride. One of the biggest differences I saw was food. I mean, we're not cohesive or unique in food because we're kind of basic, and we can sometimes cross over into other cultures' foods and make it our own. But we have American food like hot dogs, burgers, fries, potatoes, stuff like that, chicken fried steak. But it's a basic culture of food, whereas in Europe you have French food, you have Hispanic, Latino, Mexican, Puerto Rican food, and you have food in other cultures like Greece that is very, very out of the box unique, and it's their culture. It's what they stand for, and that's how they express their love for people, by making food. In America, it's kind of like we piggyback off other people's ideas for food in other areas and cultures. And I believe a pro to our culture is we do have a lot of diversity, but a con is we do not always submerge ourselves into the other various cultures, because of late I've been able to read upon a bunch of different cultures, and it's very interesting, especially at my church, St. Joseph's. We have a very diverse population, and our African choir sings songs in Swahili, and growing up in that, I've learned a little bit of their songs and the languages and the culture, the food, and I've got to submerge myself into that. And also our Hispanic Mass that I sometimes go to. We have a very good population of Hispanic people who are very faithful in what they believe in, and they submerge the culture into the church and kind of mix their cultures with our church. And I think it's very eye-opening to see that experience and learn, and just learn from other cultures and be open to welcoming them with open arms, because I believe we should all accept each other's cultures and be able to learn and be open about what is so good about the culture and why they love it. And so we can kind of submerge ourselves into that. And I feel like my opinion is our culture is not always unique and cohesive. We sometimes steal from other cultures. We're not always unique. But I think the more we learn from other cultures, we can submerge ourselves into their unique and cohesive cultures that we may not have, and we can learn from them and always be open to learning new cultures and new languages. I think languages, there are other cultures that speak like 5 or 6 languages. I think that's something very unique that we could build here in the United States.